She said that American soccer fans, most of them aren't smart. They don't know the game. They don't understand.
Gio.
That guy gazpacho.
Bournemouth can take a lame gorilla, okay?
Right, did you know that Arsenal died?
He's got me buzzing.
Up the top, it's hard to up him anyway.
I'm just not even gonna comment on that.
All right, people.
Welcome back to Footy with the boys. We have a hell of an episode today. We have our last weekend of Premier League. Mike is back at it with a half gallon of orange juice, sipping it straight from the jug.
Baby. High pulp.
High pulp should be a crime, bro.
High pulp,
yeah.
high pulp off-brand orange juice. What a man this is over here. If you can trust his opinion, you can trust just about anyone's. That's a man that knows absolutely nothing about orange juice, but a lot about footy. Nick with a beautiful Fiorentina kit. We'll get into a little bit more about Fiorentina a little bit later in the US men's national team corner. Of course, with that, we'll talk about Pochettino's first camp and preview that game. But first, boys, we still have a Premier League weekend to recap here. But boys, we can't get quite into that before we talk about some hiring news of a logo right behind your head there, Mike. The Chicago Fire hire Greg Berhalter, the former U.S. men's national team manager, that beautiful bald man, as the head coach and director of player personnel. So the GM and the coach here. Mike, Chicago Fire are quite shit. Don't really have a DP anymore after Shaqiri left. Is there a way Greg Berhalter goes down at all, or is this just the only way is up for him? I mean, he's Chicago Fire pretty rock bottom. Maybe not San Jose Earthquakes, but pretty damn close.
I thought he was going to go to California, so we swooped in and took him away from Nick. Nick, you're going to have to come to Chicago if you want to watch Greg.
I don't know if we swooped in. He lives in Chicago, so we're keeping him here. We didn't have to swoop in. I feel like.
Dude, yeah, I think it'll be fine. I think this is about his level. If he can't be successful here, maybe he needs to have a career change because, going from U.S. men's national team to Chicago Fire, quite a fall off. But not only is he the head coach, director of football, so a lot of responsibilities. We'll be able to pull all of the strings, which scary. If you're Chicago Fire, this is the man you want running all of your football operations? Are we quite sure about that? We'll have to see. I'll be at Soldier Field next year watching this man. Definitely.
Yeah. I mean, certainly will be interesting to watch there from a U.S. fan perspective, how he can get an MLS team to play. I think that may be more of his level to be an adequate MLS manager. I would imagine he doesn't blow anybody's socks off. Who will blow some socks off, Mike? I'll give you the floor here. Timor-Leste, a place you know very well, got a win in the Cup qualifiers here, 1-0. Wow, with the kit.
Pulling out the kit.
Oh my God, he does not mess around.
Shout out the boys. Shout out Timor-Leste. I got this notification while I was at work this morning that they went up 1-0 against Brunei. This is in the ASEAN Cup, that is Southeast Asia's premier competition. Timor-Leste does not automatically qualify because they are so small. So this is the qualifying round. First of two legs, still need to beat Brunei on aggregate score, but huge nonetheless. Paulo Gali, young man who plays in Indonesia, scoring the winner. If you talk to Timor, they love this man.
Okay.
They really love this player. He's a young kid. He is their pride and joy. Is he going to be a world beater? Is he going to be a golden boy winner? No. But he did score a goal today, and that is all we look for. Shout out the boys. Good luck in the rest of ASEAN qualifying. Hopefully you make it to the tournament and have a miracle run.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why we're talking about Timor-Leste in their qualifying and why Mike has a kit, he did live there for a couple months there, so he knows a bit of the language, knows the people over there, has some connections. So we're a Timor-Leste pod. Whenever they have these huge wins, we'll make sure to get it covered. So if you're a big Timor-Leste fan, don't worry, we got you locked. Probably similar level as Timor-Leste in terms of talent. Southampton went up. I'm just kidding. That's
We'll take Timor.
Southampton.
Listen, I wasn't gonna say anything rude about Timor-Leste, but we gotta stop with the Southampton comparisons.
Listen, Southampton against Arsenal, Nick, in this one. Well, they didn't look great, but they took a lead still. It was 1-0, and I was concerned, Nick, because this was a game that we talked about. They should run up the score. They should get their confidence up, and it looked like it could have been something to somewhat, I don't want to say derail the season, but certainly take a chunk out of the momentum they're running with. And then, I mean, they were creating chances, but they just started fucking finishing all of them. Kai Havertz is 7 games in a row with a goal at the Emirates. Buyako Saka, 2 assists in this one and gets a goal. He has 7 assists in 7 games. Is Buyako Saka the best player in the Premier League right now, Nick? And what stood out from this performance? Because obviously not the greatest first 60 minutes, and then the rest was golden from them.
Listen, I mean, at this point, I actually do think Timor-Leste could come and take an early lead at the Emirates, because what the hell has been going on these past couple of weeks? It has been a scary sight to go to concede that 2-goal lead versus Leicester at home and go 1-0 down. To their credit, it was a good goal by Southampton, like pretty well placed shot and whatnot. It wasn't Raya's fault. I think Saliba gave him a little bit too much space, but that's just about it. It was a well worked goal. It was just strange to see Arsenal not dominating how we really thought that they would, especially with just the wake up call that we thought that Leicester was. So very strange, but you said it yourself, the 2 main men that are important to talk about, because Kai Havertz is absolutely on fire. Thank God. I guess like part of the explanation for this game not starting well, it was a rotated side after that PSG midweek matchup. So they did, Thomas Partey made a feature at right back, which is my least favorite lineup decision. I prefer Zinchenko at left back than Partey at right back, if I'm being honest.
That's saying something.
And that is saying something, because I am anti-Ukraine.
Okay,
also,
let's remove that from the pod.
I'll say it again if we remove it. I'm
We'll
anti-Ukraine thanks to Alexander Zinchenko. Anyways, I do think that the lineups, Gabriel Jesus looks like a shell of himself. Looks like he's trying to do too much to win a spot back. It's nice that he's pretty firmly, I think, 6th in our forward options. I think Trossard and Sterling are both ahead of him, and of course all the starters as well. So I guess he's a good option to have at 6, but he is way off his game right now. It just looked clunky. It looked weird. The second Havertz comes into the 9 spot with the substitutions. Looks much better. He scores an absolute beautiful goal from outside of the 18. He's usually inside the 18 guy scoring goals for us, but that was a peach. And you asked the question, is Buyako Saka the best player in the Premier League? I think the answer is no. I think Haaland is currently on 26 goals, so probably have to give it to Haaland. But I think there's a very fair argument to say for second best, and I wouldn't hate that, especially with Rodri out injured. So one of my predictions at the start of the season is that this is the year that by the end of the season, we will call Buyako Saka world class. And I know he's been flirting with it for a little bit, but I am standing by that take very firmly. He is an output machine. He can get double, tripled. It doesn't matter. He's creating big chances left and right. Finishing chances. That was a beautiful right-footed shot. He just showed aggression to take control of the moment. Beautiful cross to Martinelli to take the lead. I mean, he is doing absolutely everything right now, including getting results, unlike Cole Palmer, who Mike was referencing to, but we'll get to him in a second, I'm sure. But yeah, he's well on his way to world class, and I mean, the guy's just 23 years old. He's going to be the best player in this league soon, I'll tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, he creates like 5 to 6 chances every game, which is absurd, but I mean, he's carrying this team. He is Arsenal Football Club at the moment, and obviously you have players that are scoring like crazy, like Kai Havertz, and people that are helping out, and some great players, but he is definitely the heartbeat of that squad. So very impressive to watch Saka. And
yeah, really quick before we move on again, shout out to Martinelli again, back on the score sheet, seeing some confidence flow through his veins again. I love to see it.
Hey, your Gabby take is still maybe not looking the strongest, but it's not
live.
looking as bad as it was. It was not looking as bad as it was the first couple of weeks.
Listen, if I had to pick to stick with the Gabby take or the Man U take, I'm taking Gabby.
That's fair.
Your takes fucking suck.
I take it too, brother.
Your takes were awful. Didn't even
Unfortunately, I
realize you had
said them
both
both,
those.
so we'll see.
Yeah, you'll have to track back to our takes pod at the start of the season where Nick just let you know everything that was not going to happen this season. Mike, we had a little toffee game here against Newcastle that we previewed, and we said we didn't think we were too impressed by Newcastle so far this season, and thought some points were up in the air, were possible for this one. Everton gets a goal taken away for offsides. Stupid rule, anyways. We should have won off that, but listen,
Bullshit.
this game, what a watch. Anthony Gordon, the Rat, takes a penalty against Pickford. Pickford saves it. It's a god-awful penalty anyway, so it doesn't even... He was shit anyways. He was pretty... I think Anthony Gordon was pretty nervous the entire game. His touches were kind of shit and just got kind of shut down this game. Nevertheless, other than the Rat, it was a pretty impressive draw for Everton here against a Newcastle side that just drew themselves against Manchester City. It's another point for Everton. Keep some of that momentum going. It's another point that in what is looking like a tightly contested bottom, like 6, you just want any amount of points, and you're kind of separating yourselves here. We're out of the relegation zone. We're in the same spot as we were through 7 games last season in 16th place. What did this tell you about the team? I think certain players stood out, certain players didn't. What does it tell you about the rest of the season here, or at least in the near future for Everton?
Told me a lot of things. Told me I was too harsh on the team to start the year, for sure. I've been changing my tune, definitely. If you listen to our first few pods this season, compared to now, night and day. I mean, I was really, really down on him. Rightfully so. I mean, I still think it was so disappointing. I don't think you should start a season like that. Really inexcusable. And I thought Deitch was to blame. But to his credit, he's turned it around. Mentality monsters came out against a good side. Newcastle banged up, yeah, but still a pretty strong start to the season on their end and a much better team. We came out and we played with our hearts out. Was really impressed by most all the players. Shout out Michael Keane. Been super negative him on all year, but held his own. Pretty solid game. Still don't think he should be starting, but
I still don't think he had the greatest game. He just about gave up a wide open breakaway.
Just about, but he didn't. I mean, we can get away from Michael Keane. The MVP is obviously Jordan Pickford. Saves a pen, big all game. Gets so much shit from the Newcastle crowd because of his history, and stands on business almost every single time. We could have won this game. I mean, yeah, the goal gets taken away. It's offside for sure, but we were robbed of a penalty. I mean, that foul on Dom is clear as day. It's always a pen. You can't say anything. I mean, sure, Ganagay should bury that off the rebound, but that doesn't matter. It's a penalty. I don't know how it's not reviewed and given to us. Really, really poor. I don't see any argument that that's a clean play. Doesn't get the ball. It just takes out the
I think
player.
if it's any other club, it's a penalty. But it's Everton and it's Newcastle.
I mean, yeah, any other club, it's a penalty, and there's gonna be news coverage about it. I mean, I haven't heard anybody mention it. No one even seems to care because it's Everton, so maybe they don't even know. Frustrating for sure. Point is still massive. This is the hardest game in our next couple of fixtures. So hopefully we take this momentum over the international break, come back even stronger. Still some players to come back in the squad. I'm really excited. Yeah, I mean, you got to be feeling good as a Blues, especially compared to how we started this season.
Yeah, I mean, I think Everton just looks like they've calmed down a bit. I think those early games, watching them, they were just
100%.
Maybe almost too stuck into the relegation mindset of we're just going to defend for our life. And at a certain point, they realized, hey, we can actually just pass the fucking ball, not punt it up the field. And all of a sudden, they started having some attacks, and Dwight McNeil has been able to get into the games, and Dye has been absolutely massive. I mean, players have just stepped up. That midfield, Tagore and Mangala, and it's just there's more control over the game here. Still, I think there's some things that obviously can improve, but it's moving in a much better direction than it was here at the start of the season. And like like Mike said here, look at those upcoming fixtures: Ipswich Town, Fulham, Southampton, West Ham, Brentford, Manchester United. Even none of those, I would say, are absolute losses. I think there's some tough ones in there, but there are also some very, very winnable games there for Everton that they should expect to win. And I think these next 6 games are a massive stretch for Everton in terms of relegation and maybe getting out of that conversation, even if they can hold on to leads. Man, we could have beat Bournemouth, could have beat Aston Villa, and we'd be having a very different conversation about Everton right now.
Certainly.
Than relegation talks. I mean, they'd be well above Manchester United, and that would certainly be something fun to be talking about.
That's got to be the
boys,
goal this year. Beat the Devils. I mean, they're so shockingly bad. One thing I want Everton to figure out here, need to find a striker in form. Dom should have got a goal off a pen for sure, but this is the big conversation that we had over the international window. Is Dom working well enough? Is the interchange good enough to keep him in that starting four? Do we need someone who's going to get some goals? We have plenty of players at our disposal. None of them are clear choices by any means, but when Chermiti and Broha are available, that's a real decision to be had.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's continue to build on that attack because we've seen some sparks and just need to keep adding to it. We've seen the new players added in, kind of adding something to there. Let's move to the Premier League rundown here with the rest of the results around the league. We start with the champions, Manchester City, who 3-2 looks like a shootout, but really they did have a lot of control over this one. It was 3-1, then Fulham get one. In this one, though, Fulham had a lot of chances. Adama Traore, if he had any finishing in those gigantic quads of his, he would be a absolute world beater. That man dusted Kyle Walker and had a 1-1 and could not score. He had about 2 or 3 other chances. Man, if he could finish, a hell of a player. Another 3-2 result, though, this weekend. Spurs-Brighton. Spurs in this one went up 2-0. And when I saw that, I thought, it's a time to have that talk about Fabian Hertzler, who, after the first 7 points in the first 3 games, had only had 2 after that. He shut that thought up in my head real quick with 3 goals in response to this. And those questions now start being asked of Ange Postecoglou, because dropping a 2-0 lead, that's Everton level. And if you're doing anything that Everton's doing, that's not
worse, dude.
That's not good for your job, man. That is very bad for your job. That is awfully tough. We move to another team. That manager is certainly in some trouble, but boys, let me know. Do you think this is enough to keep him around a bit? He draws Manchester United versus Aston Villa. Erik ten Hag gets a draw 0-0 versus Aston Villa. I wouldn't say they looked great or had really much chances of coming away with the win here, but still a draw against a team that we thought it could embarrass them. Is that enough for the Man U board to keep him around for a little bit longer? Or are they still on a game-to-game basis, you think?
He's never leaving. He's going to stay there forever. He will outlive the club itself. When Jadon Sancho is 120, he will still be the manager of the Red Devils, and he will be telling about how he couldn't train properly while he tears it up at Chelsea. Nothing will fire him. I've gone full circle. I've gone from he has to get fired last year to maybe he has a point, he won a cup, to now he's just the disease that never leaves. He is inevitable in all the worst ways, and he is destroying what was once a proud club. Nothing. I don't care if he gets a draw. He's going to get draws here and there. He's not a good manager. He's never going to get them to what they should be, and he's never going to get fired. So, I mean, I guess it takes away a main rival, which is nice, but at the same time, it sucks for the sport of soccer.
Yeah, I mean, he always does just enough to not get fired. I think if he loses 3-4-0 here, which by all means of how both these teams have performed this season, that was a very high likelihood. A 0-0 draw, he doesn't get fired.
Are we sure he would get fired, though, if he lost 3-4-0? Are we sure?
Those Greg Berhalter U.S. soccer things where they need to be embarrassed on a massive scale for it to happen. They need to be pushed by something massive happening. And he just keeps it minimally he just keeps it embarrassing, but not at a catastrophic level. It's just the overall big picture is catastrophic, but all the short terms are always just, yeah, that's shit, but not absolutely embarrassing 7-0 getting absolutely murdered.
You know what's awesome?
Did they
scored
get
5
4
goals
piece
this
by
season.
Liverpool?
They're on a 3-game stretch without, scoring in the league. It's ridiculous. Like, absurdly bad. Credit to him for putting Johnny Evans in. For some reason, that worked tremendously. Johnny Evans had a game of, like, a career game, was class. Those won't be the changes I would have made, changing out probably your 2 best players in those starting center backs. Worked out, I guess. But creating anything going forward, it's just negative. I saw something about Man U fans talking about, oh, well, we don't have enough investment in attack. Marcus Rashford's homegrown. Garnacho's a academy kid. Look how much money they spent on attacking players. Xerxes was a bag. Højlund was a bag. Anthony was a bag. Sancho was a bag. They got rid of him. It's unreal the amount of investment they have in the attack and how little they produce.
Yeah, it's
It's
tough to watch.
We are like 14 months removed from that 7-0 Liverpool loss. Like it is not that long ago. And they got 4-0'd by Liverpool earlier this year, I'm pretty sure. Like, I don't know. What other big embarrassment can you possibly want? I'm getting sick of this guy.
I think they need a big one that they can now just fight. Because if they're saying it's okay for all those other things, you need something now that you can use justification, not just, yeah, you know what, we're all thinking it, we all know it's going to happen, so here we go.
Didn't they lose like a non-league side or something like that? Or like some like League 2 team in the cup at some point? I don't know. Maybe I'm imagining things.
Potentially. They scored 7 against Gagoslinina and Barnsley, so they were back after that one, I'll tell you that much. Elsewhere in the league, though, Liverpool, Arne Slot, speaking of a bald Dutch manager, he's gone the opposite way. He has Liverpool at the top of the table. They beat Crystal Palace 1-0. Is it time to have the discussion about Ollie Glasner maybe being a bit of a Michael Olise merchant? He's been killing it for Bayern. Crystal Palace without him are looking not great. They're talking relegation right now, and Ollie Glasner's not looking so hot as he was last season for Crystal Palace. Another new manager doing quite well that's also bald, Enzo Maresca for Chelsea. He gets only a draw against Nottingham Forest. And if you watch this one, what an electric matchup this one was. Both teams just throwing haymakers at each other nonstop, just attack after attack, sprinting up and down. Cole Palmer had a beautiful touch around a defender, had a shot, thought he could have had a goal, would have been beautiful, but ends in a 1-1 draw. Cole Palmer sits down while there's a brawl going on between both teams here. That is peak Cole Palmer. All he cares about is little chippies. Don't know. Cole Palmer, what a guy. 1-1 here, though, Chelsea and Nottingham Forest. Impressive result for Nottingham Forest. West Ham. Oh, finally. Thank God. West Ham gets a 4-1 win over Ipswich Town. Mohamed Kudus getting a goal in this one. Finally, West Ham get a convincing result that show what they really should be against an Ipswich Town team. Ipswich still get their goal, though. Brentford and Wolves. Wolves went into this one knowing that Brentford scored so much in the first minute. They had to hold off, and they held off until the second minute, baby. Their strategy paid off. But unfortunately, 1 minute after, Brentford scores in an absolute shootout. 5-3, 8 goals in a game. You love to see it. Brentford finally getting the job done after an early goal. And boys, Leicester getting a win over the Cherries this weekend. What an interesting result there. Leicester kind of getting some points in what will also be a relegation battle for them. So impressive for them. Bournemouth certainly a disappointing result for them. Mike, which of these games or results caught your eye? What storylines run with them?
A few of them. The Brentford Wolves game's a banger. So many goals. Awesome. I thought Fulham should have beat City, as you said. But the game I watched most closely and I thought was a thriller was that 1-1 Nottingham Chelsea game. James Ward-Prowse, all-time red card. Falls on the ball, grabs it with both hands. Love to see it. He's just going to get paced by Nicholas Jackson. If it's me, I'm letting Nicholas Jackson have that 1v1 all day because we know who he is.
Not
think
this
either
season,
keeper-
man. Nicholas Jackson this season.
He scored a few.
Different animal.
He scored a few. Well, different animal, same beast. Both goalkeepers could have been MVP. I mean, the amount of saves they made, crazy saves, back to back. This game was touchline to touchline, end to end. It could have been 2-3 goals on each side in the final 10 minutes. It had 13 minutes of stoppage time. Impossible that no goals went in. I mean, crazy. Matt Sells, props to you. Robert Sanchez the same way. All-time banger here. All-time 1-1 for sure.
Yeah, for a 1-1 result, that was absurd. Nick, what game caught your eye here?
I continue to like watching Wolves play football. I think I figured out why they suck, though. They have the worst defense in the Premier League. Like, they are getting absolutely rammed. Craig Dawson is no longer doing it for me, gentlemen. I mean, they are getting run through. They play pretty football, but man, they have no one in that back line that could stop a counter. 8 goals in the game is impressive, so that was a fun one. Junior Gunners, took the 1-0 lead. They almost did it to City. Mateo Kovacic with the brace, but yeah, those 2 ones were really the ones that stood out to me.
Yeah, I mean, certainly some good games this weekend. Spurs Brighton is obviously one that's going to take some headlines there.
And
the boys
continues to just like realize how shit of a club Tottenham is, and you can tell it's just catching up with him. I don't even blame the guy. Like, he could be the right manager. This is not the right place for him.
No, I mean, I think you saw the immediate changes of him bringing that culture, and I think it's just slowly shifting back to what Tottenham is. I just don't know if he can truly change the culture, the identity of what Tottenham Hotspur is. This is their DNA, this is their blood here, and boy, are they true to it.
I don't know, man. I think he is super culpable. Like, he needs a lot of blame.
Yeah,
also fair.
No tactical adjustments. Starts a 11 with no midfield. He's got Bentancur running the whole show with 4 strikers or 4 attackers in front of him. Makes no adjustments and lets his team get shredded because that's the play style. So definitely him to blame on that one.
You know what? Listen, mate, we're going to have a go.
We're going to have a go. They had a go.
Mike is anti having a go at it, it sounds
like. Are
like.
you anti having a go? Are the allegations
having a go? But when you have a go, sometimes you get got.
Nah, listen, mate, we're going to have a go.
You're not playing Manchester United every single week.
You are going to get got sometime, and that's just the gamble you got to take.
I guess, dude. Godspeed, Tottenham fans.
Mike is right.
All right, boys. It is time for our U.S. men's national team corner with a great preview of U.S. men's national team for the first time under Mauricio Pochettino against Panama. It has been great to see players arrive in camp. He's already saying, or at least in press conferences, people have been saying that it's a lot more intense. I think it was Tim Ream that said, yeah, it's one of the longer training sessions that we've had. It's a lot more intense than usual. Anthony Jedi Robinson said that, yeah, usually the European players get in after a long flight and playing on Saturday, and you're just on the recovery bikes. You're just kind of taking it easy. And they went straight into a hard training session, a long training session. So definitely a mindset switch in that one. He says they haven't gone through that much tactics yet. Just trying to get the mentality right, get them fit, and get them to where he wants to be, just basic kind of combo play. Was one of the biggest things in this game, USA versus Panama, is Christian Pulisic, because he is about one of the only healthy players we have that's in form. And he is in some damn good form. Scored again against Nick's jersey there, Fiorentina, on the weekend. And boys, normally the largest headline for all of Milan and Italian outlets would be that Christian Pulisic that's a hell of a kit you got there. Little BVB. Christian Pulisic scored in 4 straight games. Has been an absolute star. We've been talking about it nonstop, and it's just a regularity at this point that Pulisic is going to be the best player on the pitch. What has taken headlines is not that. It is the penalty controversy. If you guys did not watch the game, there were 2 penalties that AC Milan drew against Fiorentina, the first one, was taken off Christian Pulisic by the captain, Theo Hernandez. He has since been fined for this and also received a red card in that game. He misses that penalty. And then people outrage on Twitter, on all social media, saying, why is Christian Pulisic, who has been named the penalty taker, has never missed a penalty, not taking the penalty for AC Milan? So another penalty comes, and Fikayo Tomori grabs the ball away from everyone and hands it directly to Tammy Abraham, who refuses to give it to Pulisic, who's asking for it. And then he misses the penalty. After the game, and Pulisic still ends up scoring in that game. He doesn't need the penalties, I suppose. But they end up losing 2-1 that game, and it's dropped points for them off of 2 missed penalties in a single game. Paulo Fonseca asked about it. The manager of AC Milan after the game says, yes, Christian Pulisic is the taker. I don't know why they're doing this, why they're taking it away from him. It absolutely cannot happen again. Talking of suspensions for Tammy Abraham and Fikayo Tomori, already Theo Hernandez is suspended because of his red card, but also a fine coming in for him. Nick, where does the blame go for this for AC Milan? Because it seems like an absolute shit show going on right now. Paulo Fonseca, if he's this upset and saying it absolutely should never happen again, I've made it clear Christian Pulisic is the penalty taker. Is it just blatant disrespect from the players to say, hey, fuck you to Paulo Fonseca, we're going to do what we want, and I'm just going to be taking penalties, ripping it away from people? Or is it on Fonseca to shout out, hey, I see that there is somebody other than our penalty taker trying to take this penalty kick. I'm 30 yards away. I can just shout, no, Pulisic, take it. Who is the blame mostly on, or where do you assign percentage blame here, Nick?
I mean, obviously everyone has blame on their shoulders. I'd even argue Pulisic has some blame on his shoulders, even if it's like 0.1%. Just demand the ball, brother. You got to be assertive. But I would say most of the blame, again, 0.1 for Pulisic. Don't get your panties in a bunch, flags. I would say that most of the blame falls on the shoulders of the manager. I mean, if it's happening twice in the same game and 3-4 different players are involved, I think that's someone who has not drawn a hard enough line with the team and isn't really showing them that he is the man in charge and is kind of like has to stand on business, in my opinion. So I think most of it falls on him. There's blame for everyone. I get Theo Hernandez, he's a captain. I get trying to get the new guy, Tammy Abraham, a goal, especially when you're both English. But I think if you have really, really, really solid leadership, that doesn't happen. If Mourinho's there, that's not happening, right? So I think that the manager deserves most of the blame, but everyone gets a pretty even share, to be fair.
Yep. I will say there has been mostly only American fans blaming Pulisic for not stepping up and making a scene about it. We saw that at Chelsea last year with Madueke and Cole Palmer and Nico Jackson, where that became a media shit show. That's not going to be what Christian Pulisic does, especially in such a tense atmosphere that is AC Milan at the moment. Like, Christian Pulisic gave a penalty to Tammy Abraham on one of his first appearances so that he could open his account. Gave it to him after he had it in his hands, and he is the penalty taker. Now, Tammy Abraham takes it away from Pulisic and tells him, no, I'm taking it. Is it just a disrespect for Pulisic? Do you think it is any anti-American bias where there just isn't the respect for him, although he's been their best player this season?
Sure. I mean, maybe it's not as simple as that. Maybe it's not. He's an American. Some of these players were higher profile at one point than Christian Pulisic, Tammy Abraham included. Maybe they feel like they should still have that responsibility. But it's 100% right. He is the penalty taker. Should be his decision at the end of the day. If he wants to give the penalty, sure, that's for him to decide. Ridiculous. Like Nick says, it comes back to the manager. This has to be established in training. Everybody has to be on the same page. And to have it twice in one match is really ridiculous.
Crazy. That is
shows the
crazy
state of the
word.
club. I mean, ridiculous. That's a bigger problem than just penalty responsibilities if this is happening.
Agreed.
Yeah. I mean, Fonseca, he got his derby win, but
You know what the problem might have
man,
been?
he
They might have, always thought that his tattoo was cool, and then they saw fucking Mike Wazowski on his forearm.
I saw that.
What?
Wait, is Mike Wazowski?
I did not know that.
Oh my god, he does.
Yeah, that
Shout
is
out
a
Monsters
problem.
Inc. Great.
All right,
movie.
you know what? We're moving straight into the USA Panama game because I think we have case solved. That must be the reason why.
I will never
boys.
look at post the same. That's crazy.
Pulisic,
What a brave thing to
thank
put
God
on
he
your
doesn't
forearm.
throw up the Mike Wazowski one eye celebration, but maybe against Mexico, maybe he debuts it. Boys, Pulisic scores. Balogun also scored this weekend. Somebody who's massive to the U.S. men's national team, but also dislocates his shoulder in that game for Monaco. His third straight game getting a goal. He was finally getting into form. He was going to be under Pochettino. It was looking so nice. Now, there is a massive amount of injured players not in this camp. So we have some replacements. They come in. Who now, with all these replacements in, do you want to see starting for the U.S.? Nick, I'll start with you with goalkeeper and defenders here, and then Mike, if you want to take over midfielders and forwards, and we can kind of edit our way after that. Nick?
Jesus freaking Christ. Who do I want to see in goal? Who do I want to see in goal for the U.S. men's national team? I don't know. Put their names in a hat and pick one and see what happens. Let's get Timmy Howard in goal. That's what I want to see. Maybe
Stefan?
Schulte, let's say. I don't know. Patrick Schulte, come on down. You are my starting goalkeeper versus Panama. Let's get him some experience. Yeah, we'll go with that. We'll say our center backs. The fact that Tim Ream is still here, insane to me, but I guess he is. I don't know. Richards is out, right?
Yep, Richards
Yes.
and CCV are both out.
Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Well, then I guess give me Mark McKenzie and Miles Robinson, I guess. I don't know. Both of those guys have a thing to prove, and I think both of them are probably, second or third in line to be the guy next to Richards. So fair to give them both a shot, see what we have. I'm not really buying into the Austin Trusty hype still. I've seen him play. He's atrocious. Right back. Let's keep it normal for the outside backs. Let's go Jedi and Joe. I don't know. I know he's probably going to save people for the Mexico game, so it'll probably be a more rotated squad for Panama. But maybe not. If the training camp is as intense as possible, maybe he just wants his guys out there. Who knows?
Yeah. Mike, midfield and attack. Important one here.
Yeah, you could play around with the midfield a bit. I think the lock is Weston for sure. Phenomenal form. Definitely
Crazy.
earned it. Been running his ass off. So hopefully that comes right back into the U.S. jersey. Haven't seen him play well in that kit in a little bit. Definitely jaded from the Copa America, but hope to see him back at his best. Definitely deserves to be there. And then next to him, I know Tessman wasn't initially included in the squad, but I really love what I saw in the Olympics. Caught some highlights from him in Lyon. Would like to see him get some serious minutes. So I think that's a good partner. And then ahead of him, I think Tillman deserves it. No Reyna in. Brendan Aronson definitely has a shout, but I'd give it to Tillman currently with his goal contributions in the Eredivisie.
Is he going to go 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 flags?
4-2-3-1 and 4-3-3 are his two formations he said he'll be using. So
He didn't say what he's going to use at first.
I'd imagine it's a 4-2-3-1, and realistically, it's going to be pretty damn similar. I think I would go Musa McKennie. I think
That's also a fine shout. Yeah.
he's going to love Musa. I think what we could see in the midfield is Brendan Aronson at that 10, kind of playing that Conor Gallagher role
that's
where
what I'm
he's
thinking,
pressing.
yeah.
That pressing 10 he loved at Chelsea last season. I wonder if he uses something like that and then has kind of Malik Tillman in that Cole Palmer kind of winger that drifts in type role. Might be something. But
I don't know about that, but I do like the Aronson. I actually think Aronson could be on the wing, and he's kind of like the trigger for the press. I think that's.
I think Brendan Aronson will start. Whether it be at the 10 or the wing, I think Brendan Aronson starts, and then other two, obviously Pulisic is a lock, and then Sargent or Pepe up top, boys.
Sargent easy. Give me
Want to hear
Sargent.
my opinion?
I don't want to hear your opinion.
I will say Joshua Sargent. That is my opinion.
Yeah.
All right.
It's got to
All
be
right, so
Josh. I mean, He's earned it. Definitely playing great
Okay.
ball right now. Hasn't had the fairest of shouts. I mean, he's always been in the squad, but whether it's through injury or just not being picked, hasn't locked down that position for any meaningful amount of time. Definitely want to see him get the start.
Yeah,
Hey,
Greg
is Haji
definitely
just
not
going to
giving
be?
that much.
Is Haji just going to be like a super sub for this team? Like, does he not have a spot in the starting 11?
I don't know. He might be a winger, but I mean, you have to put Pulisic at the right wing because he's much more of a left wing second striker. So it's also just, does he play as a striker now with Pochettino? Does Pochettino say, hey, I want him more as a striker rather than somewhat of an inverted second forward from the wing? It's an interesting position that he plays at Coventry. So
I also
I don't
think
know where he really fits in.
it is interesting that I mean, if we're counting Haji as a 9, you know, Sargent, Vasquez, and Haji are all kind of bigger physical guys. You know what I mean? Like some of them are pacier than others, but they, for the most part, kind of have a similar profile. Maybe not in their gameplay, but at the very least in their physicality. So interesting that those are the guys. That was probably the only thing that raised my eyebrows was the Vasquez inclusion, even though I know he's been playing well. So interesting as well. I'll say.
Yep. Producer P, can you pull up that tweet I sent a little bit earlier in the Discord of the injured 11? I want to compare what we had as our starting 11 to this injured 11. And which one is better here, boys? Because this 11 of injured players, we have 13 players out injured right now. This one does not include a couple players here, including, I think, Richie Ledesma and one other that I can't think of right now. But boys, this lineup with Diego Cochin, Serginho Dest, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Richards, Wiley, Johnny Cardoso, Adams, and then Paredes and Tim Weah out wide with Reyna with Balogun in front of him. Is that a better starting 11 than what we have right now with the Pulisic, Weston, Musa, Brendan Aronson? And especially maybe the defense might be that big difference here. Nick, which one are you taking out of these 11s?
I don't know. They're both stinky. I don't love either of them. This one, I don't know if Paredes, Wiley, Carter Vickers, God kill me. I don't know. I think I would go with mine purely because we have Pulisic and this injured 11 doesn't.
Pulisic may just be the only thing.
I think you take that. We have no idea what Gio Reyna's been doing. Last time Timmy Weah played for us wasn't great. Flo is finding some form. I'll take our 11 versus this one, but it's closer than it should be.
Mike, how close is it, or are you opposite thinking? This team might be better.
No, it's tight. I think Pulisic is the deciding factor for sure. You take him out of the current team, then it's really even. I think it's about 5 starters in each, and then the goalkeeper is a toss up. I mean, Dest is clear starter. Chris Richards is clear starter. Tyler Adams, for my money, is still a clear starter, and Balogun as well. Gio Reyna depends on the day. So, I mean, and Tim Weah too. So it really is about half and half.
Is Balogun really a clear starter?
I think so.
I think so. I mean,
he just scored 3 goals in 3 games, and his talent level, I think, is at a higher level than the others. It's about form, and he just got the form as well. So
I agree. I think he's our best striker. I just don't know if he's the profile that Poch is looking for. I think I'm going to keep riding on that wagon.
Yeah, we'll see. I mean, certainly at Copa America, he was most definitely our second best player. And
for sure.
Speaking of which, it was that game against Panama that he had that absolute banger that got us back in at the 1-1. Or no, that was for 1-0. They got us the lead after the red card. Had the absolute banger, and then it all fell apart from there. Speaking of that injured 11, real quick, Tyler Adams back to training for Bournemouth. Could be back to return against Arsenal on October 19th. Love to see that. Love to see that, brother.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Love to see it. Let's shift back to this Panama game, though. It is that team that beat us in Copa America that, yes, we were sent out by Uruguay in the final game, but realistically, this was a team that ruined our home Copa America, and Tim Weah, you can say, deserves X percentage of blame, whatever you want to put on him. But regardless, this team is the team that beat us in Copa America, Mike. And this is a bit of a revenge match. What do you want to see? Obviously, it's Pochettino's first match. In terms of how different we look and just overline scoreline. Does scoreline matter? If we look really good, but we can't put it away, and maybe there's some miscommunications in the back, we allow a goal in and lose. Is that upsetting, or is it just kind of, hey, as long as we're looking good and see the blueprint, you can see kind of what we're doing, almost like what Chelsea looked like last season, where you saw it, you saw the play. Is that what you're looking for? It's a revenge game. Is that a result needed here?
Revenge game, CONCACAF matchup. Got to take it seriously, even though it's a friendly. First game under Poch. Really what I'm looking for. I expect it to be rough, but I'm looking for the intensity to be there, players to be bought in, fighting for their positions, because it's trial season. You're putting out an audition for your new manager, so you have to be at your best. Does not matter that it's a friendly. I want guys to assert themselves, show their quality, and see how they fit in these new tactics, because it will be vastly different than what Greg was playing. I mean, God, I hope so. If it's the same type of ball, something has gone horribly, horribly wrong. But I expect some mix up as well. 2 matches, huge roster, lots of talent. I expect it to be changing in and out. I think it would be dumb not to. So that will cause some roughness and lack of chemistry, but the intensity has to be there, and quality alone should get us results against Panama and definitely against Mexico.
Yep. I mean, quality alone, the U.S. have a significant level above Panama in terms of quality. Thomas Christensen, though, gets those Panamans to certainly play some good footy. Nick, after this game, we'll be headed to Mexico. After this game, what do you think we'll be thinking we took away from this game against Panama? And what do you think we're still going to want to see in that game against Mexico City?
I think I'm going to be disappointed after this game, which I know sounds bad, but I think I have big expectations. I think I'm higher on what I want to see this weekend. I think we should dominate them. We lost to Panama, but Panama is nowhere near the international team that we are. I mean, I think just on talent alone, we should beat them, but also this should be a group of players that are hungry to fight under a new manager, especially a guy like Poch, who has like the name recognition and honestly the skill as a manager. So I think we're going to see like a pretty big performance, people running their ass off, and I think it's going to end up being some good quality. I think we should win this like 3-4-0. I am prepared to be disappointed. I think that is an unfair ask for the first game in Poch. Everything Mike said is fair. But I don't know. I have a feeling that it's going to be a good game. What I think we're going to want more so than anything is just a little bit more of the intensity is going to be there for Mexico. I believe that wholeheartedly. Whether it's there for Panama, I think it will be. I think that's more up in the air, though. I want to see, I know he's saying we're not doing tactic sessions yet, but I want to see what this team is going to set up and be like. And I want to see at least the beginnings of those plans kind of taking root, even if it's simple. This guy joins the midfield. This guy drops out of the attack, whatever it is. I want to see something simple that we can break down together. And I think we're going to want to see it just a little bit more for the Mexico game, since Panama will be kind of his first test run. So I think we'll want to see a little bit more tactics, but I really do wholeheartedly believe that it's going to be back to a USA that we enjoy watching, which is a USA that just fights their ass off.
Yeah, I mean, against Panama, the US has kind of gone on a cycle where they have these tough games, and then, I mean, Pulisic got that hat trick. It's like 6-0. Even 2017, they got that 5-0 win. It's not a team that they're unfamiliar with blowing out. Certainly, he's tasked with a harder personnel-wise task than maybe previously, because you have, like we said, that injured 11, about 5 starters out, and certainly some bench players out, but certainly enough to get the job done. I think, yeah, if they win 4-5-0 here, boys, the hype train is going to be
gassed,
full steam ahead. It is going to be something else. If he does something massive against Mexico after that, oh, boys, we are we're sending I don't even know. We're going to an electric train. We're going the Japanese speed train. We're not even
Bullet train, baby.
having to steam anything, man.
We'll be here for the overreaction.
With that being said,
either way.
What is the predicted score here? We're obviously amazing at predicting scores with our Lock of the Week competition. What is this USA Panama game going to end with? Mike, we'll start with you here.
3-1, the good guys. Yeah, I think we'll have some sort of defensive breakdown or goalkeeper error at some point. Seems inevitable and let one in, but 3 goals. Got to be seeing some firepower up top. And I think we're going to hit them hard on the counter, catch them out at least once or twice. So 3 goals seems like the minimum to me.
Nick?
Yeah, I'm sticking with it. 4-0. I don't know. Something's speaking to me this game. 4-0. I think that's a scoreline that will make us very happy. And I think I'm going to be disappointed if this is a close game. I really do.
I think it's going to be 3-0. I think that the U.S., Mike, as you said, may look a little sloppy defensively. I still don't think that. I think they have the individual talent to kind of make up for those mistakes. In the attack, I think they're going to have a lot of opportunities. It's going to be about that system getting going to where they can kind of finish those. As we saw with Chelsea early on, they had so many chances and just needed something to finish it. I wonder if that finishing touch, those finishing movements and positioning is going to be there quite yet, but still see a good handedly 3-0 win for the U.S. in this one to set Pochettino off on his first win here. Boys, we are awfully close to 200 subscribers. Make sure to subscribe, like, comment. Let's try and get to 200 subs for our 100th episode, which is in just a couple here. Mike, any final words before we part ways here?
Up the Toffees per usual. Up Timor-Leste. Shout out the boys forever. Up the U.S. men's national team. So excited. Seeing those pictures of Poch in training all week. Electric. It's finally here. It's real. All the players are gassing up the training sessions, saying it's a new leaf. We're turning a new page. Exactly what we want to hear. They're always going to back the manager, but it seems legit. Everything seems good coming out of camp right now. Now we just got to perform.
Nick, close us out before our first Pochettino sighting.
Up the Gunners, and shout out to us for being the #1 Timor-Leste podcast in the world. Up the
I
Footy
think
with the
that
boys.
is true. Up the Footy with the boys. Until next time, peace.